Hey, welcome everybody. And I just want to say thank you again to Jake for always recording and posting these. And they are always under the meetings. And Jake also has been making all of the monthly promotion flyers, and I'm going to be posting those today. And, you know, the team is growing so rapidly. I'm not always friends with that person. It's your job as the sponsor to make sure that they see that post. You need to go and in the comments and say, hey, congratulations, did you see this, Mary Beth? You know, just tag them in there because I know we're going to grow so rapidly. Our whole team would just fill my you know, because I have to be their friend to, if they want to send me a friend request, I'm happy to friend them, but I'm not going to hunt them down. The other thing I just want to remind you is we are looking for people to take over some of that responsibility. So if you would really like to be a person to learn how to use that Canva, and Jake has it all set up, you know, where you drop the pictures and everything. But if that's a way that you're like, you know what, I would like to serve this team some, and I would like to learn a new skill, then we would send people, and we wouldn't have you do it forever. Like Jake's been doing it forever. But even if you know, we'll bounce it back and forth. We'll figure out, do you want to do it for the next few months? Do you want to do it 1 month and another person do it the next month? My thought is we'll have somebody like per quarter to do that, so that everybody knows who to send their information to, and then we'll flip on. So fair enough. We need some people to step up. It's okay if you don't know how to do it. Jake's going to make a video, and then you can go and start and stop the video and learn about that. But that would be wonderful if you could serve the team in that way, because we have so many new people joining and getting promotions. We want to make sure that they're announced. If you have a new person join, and like we have people that join the beginning of February, but I'm not putting them in as new people because I do each month. But you always can go in there and welcome your person, put a picture of that person, put a picture, you know, however you want to post it, and just welcome them to the community. You don't have to wait until we have the official flyer out, you know, the following month. So just wanted to get some of those details out of the way, super important. And today is Valentine's Day, and we're going to get to share some of what we love about our product or our business. And I did this the other night with Melanie and Joanne on a call, and it was really fun to hear about, you know, there weren't a lot of us on the call, but we learned something about each other, and I feel like it really spurs us on. So listen to these stories, and if somebody shares something, write that down. If you're like, oh my gosh, that's just like my Aunt Nora, you know, you might want to use that person's story to share with Aunt Nora, or maybe see if that person would hop on the phone for 5 minutes with you and Aunt Nora. So I think it's really exciting to hear what stood out. And I just encourage you all to keep sharing and sharing and sharing, because the bamboo story was brought to my attention again the other day. And if you haven't heard that story, it was just talking about sometimes you feel like you're working and you're working hard and you just give up. You're thinking this isn't going to work. But think of the bamboo tree. When you plant a bamboo seed, guess how much it grows the first year? 1 inch. Guess how much it grows the second year? 1 inch. How about the third year? 1 inch. How about the fourth year? 1 inch. You get how it's going on here? But the pattern changes. It keeps getting fresh air and sun. It keeps being watered and taken care of. And on the 5th year, it grows 30 feet. Can you imagine that? And that's what we see so often with our business. We keep watering that seeds. We keep working it. And then all of a sudden things change around for us. So I encourage you, I hope these stories that we all share today just build you up and keep you going. So when there's rough times, that you're always saying, wow, what if the next person I share with has a story like Sheila's? What if the next person I share with has a story, you know, just like Melanie's? I mean, you just don't know. So if you are so brave and ready to share, we're looking just for something, not a 5-minute story, but what is something you want to share that either the product or the business has changed in your life? And remember, we're going to raise our hands with that little emoji down under reactions, just like Vicky did. Go ahead, Vicky. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I was one of the lucky ones that was on that call with you and Joanne and Melanie the other night. And I just wanted to share today that what I really was thankful for was I just got started with just the fruits and the berries, and then, or fruits and veggies, then added the berries. But when I added the omegas, my neuropathy that I fight in my feet and a little bit in my hands has definitely improved considerably. And for me, that's huge because it was very, very painful to walk or stand on my feet for long periods of time.
And I never knew that part. I always heard Vicky's story of the rosacea on her face being greatly improved. So that was really exciting to me because I've heard so many people with neuropathy. And tell us again, how long did it take one, because you were on the trio, but when you added the omegas, how long before, and I know everybody's body will react differently, but how long until you noticed the improvement?
I'd say it was about 6 weeks when I really noticed a considerable improvement.
Wow. Life-giving. Fantastic. Thanks, Vicki. Okay, Lori.
So I was 35 when I started taking Juice Plus, and at that time I had arthritis in my hands to the point where I could not open up a jar. And about maybe 10 weeks in, one of my first customers was my neighbor, and she was an emergency room nurse. And I had mentioned to her, like, hey, I opened a jar this morning and my hand didn't hurt. Well, she confirmed what Dr. Du Bois said in the whole truth in 15 minutes. And anyway, when you start flooding your body with fruits and vegetables, inflammation is one of the first things to go. And that was so powerful. And I think, gosh, I was 35 and I already had arthritis in my hands. I suffered from chronic sinusitis. I was chronically constipated. And I think of now at 54, and so many people I see with health issue after health issue, and how Juice Plus absolutely changed the trajectory of my family's health. I already shared about my dad. My mom made it to 87. My son now is 32 and has 2 kids that were born healthy. So he was, part of creating, these healthy little babies. And also what it did for me from the financial piece is it was a side gig for a very long time. I was a corporate girl. But when I was downsized from my first job that I loved is when I found this industry and somebody shared Juice Plus with me and I jumped on board. But being a single mom and having this income, and then I'd been downsized from corporate, but I went back to corporate and I've always had a bunch of different jobs. How powerful it was for me to have lost that job, realized I was never going to be in this position again. And I always wanted to protect my ability to earn income. So we do have a 1-2 punch with Juice Plus, changing the trajectory of your health, but absolutely impacting your bottom line as well.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lori. Wow. Hey, Sheila.
Hey, well, my story starts off with just meeting Jake because we hadn't seen each other for a while, going to a Tower Garden event, and just to say hey to her. And then we started talking about the Tower Garden, and Juice Plus happened to be there. And it's like, no, I don't eat fruits and vegetables. I don't want to have anything to do with them. Thank you. That's fine. She started talking about it, and it's like, wait a minute. I guess if they're in capsules, I could probably maybe do this if I don't taste them. And so I think right then and there, I decided to go ahead and do the actual business and the product and started taking them. And if anybody doesn't know me from the past, my body was riddled with arthritis. I completely understand what Lori was talking about. I mean, my body was riddled with arthritis. I was a sports person and my knees were terrible. I couldn't even bend them. I couldn't bend down and get on my knees. I couldn't walk up and downstairs. Anytime somebody wanted me to walk up and downstairs, I would do whatever I could to not do it because it hurt so bad. Couldn't take my grandkids walking, couldn't take my dogs walking. So I started the Juice Plus, and probably within about 3 weeks, I kind of started feeling the inflammation and the arthritis stop hurting. But within 6 months, I can walk up and down stairs. I can get down on my knees. There are so many things that I can do, and my knees do not hurt anymore at all. And I will forever be grateful for Jake for telling me about this and, keeping me with this, because I can take the dogs for a walk. I have no pain in my knees whatsoever anymore. So I am extremely thankful.
Wow. So awesome. And I love that you put in there that you're so thankful for Jake too, because we all have to remember that when we're sharing. It's not the paycheck, it's not the title. I mean, all of that is fantastic, but to know that you completely changed somebody else's life because you were brave enough to share. I mean, if you look at every single person on here and as they're sharing, what would their life be like if that person hadn't shared? And that's the power of what we get to do. It's amazing. It's Ruth. I think you're muted.
Thanks. I too was on the call the other evening, and in 2006, I attended a presentation on Juice Plus with my friend she's been my friend for a long time. And then she shared the DVDs with me on the, I don't even remember the names of them, but anyway, I've had always struggled with chronic sinusitis. I was always sick at Christmas and in the winter time. And that was in October of 2006, I believe. And that winter, I did not have the sinus infection, and I have not had it in all these years, in the 16 years since. I have been sinus infection free. So, and I started on the trio.
That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? It's like Merry Christmas. You don't have to be sick.
Yeah, for my birthday.
And I love too, because they always will talk about like our immune system is supposed to get, more not sensitive, more could even be weaker as we get older. And I love like what Ruth's saying is we're all saying we feel better as we're aging. We're getting less sick instead of more sick. So powerful. Thank you, Ruth. Miss Kirsten.
Hey there. Okay, I have 3 quick things. So when I started with Juice Plus, which came just from years and years of spying on Jen Hester and watching what she was doing, and oh, there she goes with her Tower Gardens again. What is she doing? And I've known Jen since we were in 7th grade, and Jen's always been healthy, and her grandparents always brought her over lots and lots of vitamins and little packets and stuff like that. So that was just kind of always a gimme with Jen. So you kind of just went, oh, there she goes again. But then there was just something that kind of struck me that finally made me ask more about it. And then she was kind of surprised when I said, yeah, I want to do this. I want to order all of this, and I want to be a partner. Because I had been kind of watching her for so long. So I jumped in whole hog, but I was motivated because for years at our annual health screening that was part of our insurance, I was really surprised. Like my BMI was good. I exercised. I ate pretty well. I've always been a pretty healthy eater. Learn as I go kind of thing. And all of a sudden, the technician said, oh, your LDL cholesterol is elevated, but it's okay because your HDL is really high, but it's going to always skew your total cholesterol number. So just be mindful of that. And I'm like, what does that even mean? You know, I've been blessed with good health. And so, you know, a couple of years later, we move out to Colorado. We don't have the health fair screening anymore. So we go to, you can have these conducted at like Walgreens or something. And again, they were part of my husband's insurance at his former company, that you were required to have these done. And then you get really inexpensive health insurance. That was really good. Anyway, so the physician assistant or whomever was conducting at Walgreens said, oh my gosh, your LDL is elevated, your total cholesterol is elevated. I'm gonna need to put you need to see a physician and you need to be put on meds. And I'm on any medication. And I'm thinking, well, you know, shouldn't I do some research? Isn't the food I'm eating? I had done a little bit of research. My dad has cholesterol issues. So I had talked to my father about it. Anyway, from the parking lot, I called my dad and I read him the numbers and he's like, okay, that's barely elevated. And his were 3 times that, you know, and he's been on this cholesterol meds for years. And anyway, long story short, I've been on a mission ever since then. And this was pre-Juice Plus. And so that first year I changed my diet, silly little things like I didn't really realize cream cheese was that bad for you, you know, and I thought that was kind of a reasonable thing. Anyway, just silly little things that I removed from my diet, increase my exercise, blah, blah, blah. Then I thought, well, what if I boost it with Juice Plus? And so I've been every year. And by the way, the physician assistant, nothing against her, said, oh, well, that she has a family genetic link to high cholesterol, that she herself tried to alter her numbers with nutrition, and it can't be done. Can't be done. Can't is a fighting word for me. I'm like, really? Watch me. And so anyway, so reached out to Jen, got myself on Juice Plus, and I track it every year on a spreadsheet. And that year I went down, you know, my LDL reduced like the number by like 21. And the HDL went up even higher. HDL is like 94. And I think it's supposed to be like 30 or something. And so yes, the total cholesterol number is high because of the high HDL, but that LDL went down. And so when I met then, anyway, so flash forward 4 years. So I've just completed physical, found a new doctor, and she's super open-minded. Even if I would have to go on medication, she's very open to like a natural path first, but just got the go ahead, quote unquote, continue what you're doing to continue what you're doing with your lifestyle and nutritional changes. No discussion of medication whatsoever after 4 years. So I consider that a huge win. Side tangent, the research that I've done, in my opinion, the medication can lower your numbers, but without the lifestyle changes, you're not improving your health, in my opinion, because you're still not doing anything to eliminate the blockages that are caused by the plaque. And then another linkage to that is I have a family history of Alzheimer's. And it just drives me bonkers that my dad is blowing me off with this stuff, because my daughter did a paper on I'm not a medical person, so I beg your pardon, those of you that are, more educated medically than I am, but the arteries or the plaque that gets built up that goes to your heart is obviously dangerous for your heart, but the same plaque goes to your brain. And there's a link between that plaque that's built up with heart disease and the plaque that that's been attributed as a contributing factor to Alzheimer's. So interestingly enough, my dad, who has a terrible heart history and problems, and also is highly susceptible to Alzheimer's from his family, and not wanting to make the lifestyle changes to sustain that. Anyway, so I need to do more research on it, and I need to do a better job of sharing that. The last thing is I recently had an EEG. I had seizures a couple of years ago, and the neurologist that took over my case was like, I don't think you need to be on medication, because the only medication that I take, I don't want to have a seizure while I'm driving my car. So I do take that medication. Didn't really understand the brain health aspects. We really need to get more educated on the brain health aspect, because I've been very nervous about having this EEG. I've actually rescheduled it several times because what he basically said is, I don't think you need to be on this medication. I think these seizures were environmentally caused. I think that the lifestyle changes that you've made will support your your health and doing this and so forth. He thinks it was environmentally caused. That's a whole side story. And I just finished the EEG and spoke with the technician who's been doing this for 22 years and said that my results were very good and that he thinks we'll be having that discussion. And then coincidentally, I saw an article about brain health and Juice Plus, and I think really the biggest. And I really had no idea that on my quest to manage my cholesterol on my own nutritionally, I was also helping to support the lifestyle changes I was making to help wean. It gives me a boost of confidence as I wean off the seizure meds that I'm still doing something to support myself. And it's given my family a huge boost of confidence too. So those are two pretty big things. And I have some work to do to get myself better educated on those two areas.
Wow. And it's so empowering to me to hear it's giving you and your family confidence too. How many people feel helpless, about their health? And it's like, well, I don't know what else to do. They just tell me to put on this medicine, and then the cascade of all the problems and stuff. So I love that you're being proactive, and I love that you guys are getting that confidence that you can make changes, and that things have, and wow, you're supposed to have a high HDL. So when she's talking about the HDL going up, that's a really good thing. So that's,
Yep. And then with the family confidence too. I mean, had they not been on this Juice Plus journey with me, and for those of you that knew me when we started, my husband was like, whatever you're doing, he was not a fan. He was not a participant. He wasn't going to take any voodoo things. And he now takes it on a regular basis. I've learned to shut my mouth and let him just do. And, we have kind of a pantry wars. He grew up on just a whole different diet than what I eat. And so it kind of offends him if anyway, it's a long story, but it's really, the whole thing has really helped my marriage also, because, it's a stable foundation that we can agree upon. So I can let some other things go and he can let some other things go. So it's provided a lot of common ground and confidence. It's really helped our relationship and our ability to co-parent.
That's the first time I've ever heard that Juice Plus will help your marriage. I love it. But think how many people, it's so often the woman does eat healthier than the man. And what do? We nag our man.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you just let the results show and you let him be him, but he's taking his Juice Plus. So I'm going to make a banner of that. Take Juice Plus.
Save your marriage.
Your marriage. Thank you, Kirsten. Okay, Miss Sonia.
Well, I have always prided myself on being a healthy person. And Lori introduced me to Juice Plus when my kids were little. And I signed up to be for the Juice Plus and to be a partner way back when she started. And being that healthy person, I'm like, I'm not seeing any benefits, and being a single mom, budget wise, this, that, the other, I was like, I stopped taking it. I stopped the order. I stopped taking it. And just come around, when I was looking at being 50, looking to take care of myself, I was like, I need something to prevent, because I'm my own boss and I have to take care of my own insurance, which I don't. So I don't have any insurance. So I'm like, I'm a healthy person, praise be to God, but what can I do to help myself? And so once again, Lori came back into my life, said, I'm doing it this time. But there was one thing that I didn't even really notice was my room was in the basement and the bathroom's upstairs. And so every time in the morning, my feet would hurt, like halfway to the bathroom, until halfway through the bathroom, the pain would go away and stuff like that. But once I started taking Juice Plus, I was like walking up the stairs and I just kind of stopped it. I'm like, my feet aren't hurting anymore. And it was just, I know it wasn't all of a sudden, but I didn't know. It was like an aha moment, like, wow, my feet aren't hurting. And I'm not sure how long I had been taking Juice Plus. Everybody's like, oh, I've been taking Juice Plus 2 months, 6 months. I'm such a person who does not keep track of that stuff. But all I know is the pain went away and it's never come back. And praise be to Juice Plus. So that's.
I love it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a business or product story that you want to share? Being part of the team, part of the mission.
Can I share one more thing?
Well, okay.
So also is I've always been a loner. Sorry, but this team coming to conference, meeting you guys has been more beneficial than the product itself because you guys care and I care for you. And I think that is the number one thing, is the family I have gained with all of you. And I thank you and I love you and happy Valentine's Day.
You're leaving me speechless. Huge benefit. Huge benefit. I wish we all were together. I can remember in the beginning stages of business, and my team pretty much was just all in Omaha, and you know how often we'd come together at my house, and Ron would grill salmon. We always had salmon coming from Alaska at that time. And I never forget, those of you who know Anita Van Ert, she's like as big as my pinky, but she just loved coming over for salmon. And Ron would like portion things out thinking, well, how much? Because we didn't really like leftover fish. And so it became like a joke. He'd say, that Anita, she just loves this salmon. I love making this salmon. He says, but she always takes like a plank that fills her whole plate. He says, and she eats it. She was just like in salmon heaven. It was so funny. Well, we had just so much fun. And so I miss that. And so I'm so grateful for conference where I get to see you all and hug you, even you, Bobby, if you're still on. I can't see where there she is. She doesn't like to be hugged, but I think she secretly does now. But I love that you all keep showing up and that we get to, you know, a lot of us haven't met in person, but when we do meet in person, it's so natural. It's not awkward. And there is that love. So thank you for bringing that up, Sonia. Miss Joanne.
Well, actually, I just have to agree with Sonia, and that's really what I was going to say. I mean, Juice Plus has provided so many wonderful benefits for my body. I mean, I went from 10 to 12 medications and got off all my medications within a year, and really changed my whole outlook on my health and my life and even my family's life. But really, it is the relationships. I mean, the Juice Plus has been a blessing physically and financially. And getting that consistent income over the last 18 years, and there was times I didn't do anything, or, you know, caring for my mom in hospice or whatever it was, but I just kept getting that check every single month. But it's the friendships. I mean, the first time I met Sheila, I slept with her. I mean, seriously, how do you do that? You know, right? Only in this business. But I mean, it's been so fun to, I don't know. I do miss those parties at your house, Susie, where we'd all gather and play games and do silly stuff, and how fun that was. I definitely miss our time together. And, you know, I'm really bummed I missed the October time together, but I'm looking forward to getting back to the team meetings and conferences and just being together. And I love the conferences itself and the information, but it's really about being with the team. That is really important, that I really love and enjoy so much and value.
Me too. Thanks so much. Oh, and I did secure that house in Dearborn, Missouri again. So I'm going to put out information this week. Today, I'm going to just put out all of the promotions and everything. And then tomorrow I will put out and let people start reserving their bed for the Dearborn, Missouri. And then really, you all, I'm really hoping that October, it's time we need to come together in a big facility. So we'll see what's happening in the world, but I'm really hoping that we all meet up in Atlanta. So be aware of that. Okay, Vic.
Oh, I just wanted to just agree with Joanne and Sonia about the fact that I don't know if everybody knows, but I am a dispatcher and a corrections officer. And so I really deal with a very negative environment. And one of my favorite things is Monday morning meetings, because I mean, I know that there's that community that gives me that support and that they're cheering me on as I go through personal growth and build my business and just keep trying. And I've been in the business for 9 years and finally hit QSC, and just to have everybody go, congratulations, Vic, we knew you could do it. And just that support that I always get, no matter where I'm at or what little valley I'm in, I always know that Juice Plus community is there for me. And so, yeah. And conference last October was absolutely fabulous. I hadn't been to conference for numerous years, and just getting together and the laughter. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've laughed that much for several days in a row, but it was a blast. And I can't wait until April.
Yay. Me too. Miss Bobby.
I hope my radio doesn't go off. Sorry, I'm being a little sneaky over here. I just wanted to say this business for me has been a godsend, because it wasn't too long ago that I realized I did not want to be a 30-year career police officer. And to have this business and to be able to build it up to a point where I can retire early, but not only that, I could possibly retire my husband. I have a lot of friends that do businesses like this, and that's their job, that's their income. But if their husband wasn't working full time, they would still have to go get another job, because they don't have an opportunity for a corporate benefits package like we do. So even though they're making a few $1,000s a month and that's their job, it's not, what we need. So Juice Plus was a godsend for me to know that not only can I retire, but my husband can possibly retire as well.
Awesome.
And I've been doing a lot of personal growth since joining Juice Plus, and I don't hyperventilate when I get a hug anymore. So I guess I will attest that to joining this community as well.
I love it. That's good. Vic, did you have something else, or did you just not take your hand down?
Just didn't take my hand down.
Okay, Jake.
Well, I've been doing this almost 13 years now. This year will be 13 years. And I'll just share a little bit of my health story first. I had a horrible immune system. I was sick with bronchitis between 4 to 8 months every single year. Oftentimes it would either start with allergies and then turn into a sinus infection that would turn into bronchitis, and sometimes into pneumonia. And I would be sick between a month and 2 months at a time. And I was raising 3 kids at a time and running a full-time business, brick and mortar business, and a wife and a household and all of that. Or if I were around smoke, it would immediately turn into bronchitis. Within 24 hours, I'd have bronchitis. In the 13 years I've been taking Juice Plus, I've had bronchitis a total of 3 weeks. My lungs are so much better. When I got the virus last year, or 2 years ago, it didn't affect me nearly as bad. And I wasn't as concerned about it, because I knew that my lung health and my immune health were so much stronger. And I did have some long timers effect from it. Last year I was having some difficulty with shortness of breath, but I'm doing so much better now. And I know that it's, in part thanks to Juice Plus. And then this business, I became a partner the day that I became a customer. And I had done other network marketing businesses, and I felt like I was doing all that I was supposed to do. I was doing what I was told to do, and I never really got far with those. Didn't really I don't think I ever made more than $50 back in a month with any of the other companies that I was with. I think I was always spending more because you had to buy so much product or whatever. And so I really didn't have hope for this. I thought, gosh, it'd be great if I could um, help to cover the cost of my family's Juice Plus, because we were living on a very tight budget at the time. We had 5 of us taking Juice Plus. Thank God for the family health study, because 2 of the boys got it for free. We only started out with the fruits and the veggies at the beginning. Way back then, we didn't understand the value of berries, and as soon as we did, we got on those. And the omegas weren't available yet. And then as time went on, and I started growing personally, and I was sharing it more, and other people started coming on board. I was at a vendor booth, and I was at a vendor event for like 8 days and met Vicki, and Vicki came on board, and it's how I met Susan Steele and Katie Parsh, and most of the people on my team came from vendor events. And the more that I shared my story over time, the more that my business grew, and I realized that there was really something to this. I went to a conference about a year into doing business, and oh my gosh, that totally opened my eyes to the possibilities. But I also had listened to a conference earlier on. It used to come in DVDs, and I was Mary Ellen is my sponsor, and she loaned me some like 2007 DVDs of NMD speeches. And I remember messaging her saying, oh my gosh, I want to be an NMD. And then the next thing I know, I'm on a phone call with Susie and Mary Ellen, and I'm thinking, what did I just do? What did I just commit to? But it was really inspiring. And now it's really interesting. Back then, I didn't know any of those NMDs, and now I'm friends with most of them. So that was very, very interesting. Anyway, in time, my business grew, and I continued to really, I'm very singular minded. And so when I get interested in something, I have difficulty focusing on anything else. I'm just like, put the blinders on, and I go for it. And so I worked my Juice Plus business all day long, every day. I became the Juice Plus girl, but I enjoyed it so much that I didn't feel like it was working, and I still don't feel like it's work. It's just, I get to do this and I love it. But my business has grown so much that now I'm at Q and MD, knocking on the door of the NMD, where I get to have those benefits. And Susie and I are always talking about how much money just getting those benefits it's going to save my husband and I. And my goal is to be able to pay off all of our debt and allow him to be able to come home if he wants to, get out of his job if that's what he wants to do. But in the meanwhile, I got sick really bad started in about 2014. My adrenals quit working, functioning properly, and I started having a lot of cognitive challenges, and it was very, very difficult. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't remember things. I didn't have energy. I had no energy whatsoever. I couldn't work my business hardly at all. I did my very best, but I definitely couldn't work my business. And my paychecks never stopped. And at that time, I was making really nice 4-figure income, more than I could have ever made at any job that I could have gotten in our little town. There's no job that I could have gotten where I could make this kind of income. And for many years, that income remained at a steady level. And I'll admit that it did taper down after a while, because if you're not working your business, it's going to start to fall apart. It's going to start to decline. So you have to keep working it. But for all those years that I was struggling, Juice Plus kept paying me. And there would have not been a single job that I could have held in our community that would have even kept me on board, because I could not function. I could hardly function at all, and I couldn't remember things. And but Juice Plus kept paying me, even though I wasn't showing up like I wanted to every day. And then, one of the problems that I had, I kept thinking, how can I share this with other people when my own health is falling apart? Because people can judge. I'm guilty of it. It's human nature that we judge. And how can I share this with people when my own health is falling apart? And I was seeing a functional doctor, and he was helping me through it. And he was not a fan of Juice Plus, primarily because he was losing patients to Juice Plus. They didn't need to buy all of his supplements, because when they started taking Juice Plus, they just didn't need most of what he was offering. But even though he was not a fan of Juice Plus, he was still a good doctor. And we don't have a lot of options around here when it comes to natural health. But one day he did tell me that I was very fortunate for my nutritional foundation, because had it not been for that, I would have been much worse. And my health was so bad at the time that the only thing that I could think of that would have been worse is that I would have needed to be in a care home or I would have been dead, because that's how bad my life got. And I'm just so grateful to the community, because it was because of the people that are attracted to Juice Plus that I was able to get educated about how I could improve my own health. There was nothing that anybody else could do for me. The medical community doesn't even recognize the challenges that I was facing. It was only in the natural world that people that were recognizing it. But thankfully, within the Juice Plus community, I've met, going to conferences, I've met so many of the doctors. I've hosted them here in our community, and we've kind of become, I wouldn't say friends, like as in, you and I are friends, but we're still friends. We know each other. And they were able to give me a lot of really great advice on things that I could do. And I learned so much because of being immersed in this community. And then when the Omegas came out, that was a godsend, because that was giving my brain so much of what it was lacking. And it wasn't overnight. It took time. And I didn't start out taking a single dose. In fact, I take a quadruple dose of everything every day, and I have for many years. But that's because my body has been beat up for so long because of the poor choices that I made for 30 some years or whatever, or longer than that, actually. But it was when I started taking the Omegas that my memories started coming back, and I wasn't having as much problems with the cognitive challenges. And it was a life changer. It was an absolute life changer. And even though I had those challenges, I want to just impress upon you that even if you get sick, even if you have challenges, think of how much worse it could possibly be without Juice Plus. Because just like that doctor told me, my health would have been much worse had it not been for the nutritional foundation that I had through Juice Plus. So that's a little bit of my story.
I love that. It's a story of hope. And I see hands. We're gonna take those hands. If anybody was like, oh, she told me about this Matt Morris too. Do you know what? If you showed up today and you were hoping to listen to the Matt Morris, because they're going to teach you how, once you share Juice Plus, a lot of times we just kind of sit there in limbo and we don't know what to say or how to close. I will make a separate recording of that, and I will put it in Facebook Team Ignite. Okay. Today is a big class day for me, so I won't guarantee that I'll do it today, but I'll do it by Wednesday. Is that a deal? So if you're looking for Matt Morris, I will put that training in there, and his two assistants, Trish. If you look at the face and it's not Matt Morris, it's a woman, it is still his training. So look out for that. And let's take, and Wanda, no, I don't want you to feel like you have to take your hand down. I just didn't want people feeling like, oh, so we're coming to the top of the hour, but I think it's important, let people share. So Kirsten.
Just very quickly, and Jake, thank you for that share. I had not heard your story before. That's really remarkable, and I'm very glad that you had all of this foundation and resources. That's amazing. Building upon that, but also on the community aspect that was shared by others, I really have felt in the past couple of years, as everyone's felt so isolated, and you read a lot about, lean in to what's positive and think about the choices that you're making and what you're surrounding yourself with. And I have felt, and it's difficult to formulate into words with others without kind of feeling like you're talking at them, but I have felt very fortunate to have this community to lean back into. I'm involved in a couple of other groups that kind of build me up. And I think as other people have struggling, and I've seen very negative behavior and isolating behavior and just other areas that minds go if they don't have this positive support. I have felt extremely fortunate. At times I've almost wanted to say, just participate in our group. Like, even if you don't, it's not the appropriate way to go, but you almost want to be like, just come love with us, just join us for that aspect, if nothing else, which is not the appropriate thing, but it could be an opportunity at some point in time to kind of, at least a start of a conversation. But anyway, I just think that we're extremely fortunate, particularly right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? They'll preach that sometimes that's what people need as a community. And it's absolutely a door to inviting them to take a look at your business and come be part of that. Wanda, did you want to share?
I'll try to be really quick. I do love this community as well. Sonia, like you, same story. I've gone to conferences for 15 years in human form, and
wait, not Juice Plus conferences.
Not Juice Plus conferences in my other thing I'm in. I've never felt so alone for 15 years until it went on to Zoom the last 2 years, and things are smaller. The classes were smaller and stuff. I was actually able to say something, which is kind of nice. But really sad to be in something for 15 years and not, like, it's the quiet, I don't speak for the whole weekend. It's so sad. Or to myself. So I love this community for sure. And my quick story, I can tell you how I got into it, but I'll just tell you what it did for me is I've been in the fitness industry for 17 plus years, trying to figure out how to stay awake during the day, right? We have the afternoon slump. It's a thing, but when it takes you out for 3 hours, like you have to fall asleep and you can't operate whatsoever. That is me. So working at home and not having clients during that time, it was very convenient. But to my surprise with Juice Plus is that it actually keeps me awake now. I had no idea what it was going to do for me, but I do not take 3-hour afternoon naps. I will take a 20-minute nap here and there, but not during a work week. It's fantastic. So it's put a lot of hours into my life, which I'm kind of angry that nobody ever told me about this. Years and years ago, like I've been fighting this my whole life. Since I was 16, I remember going to the doctor going, I can't stay awake. Here's an iron pill, right? They never once asked me about what I eat. So it definitely helped me bridge the gap on what I eat and what I was missing out on. So
yeah. Wow, so powerful. I want you to remember Wanda's words. The next time you hesitate, like, I don't want to share with that person could feel the same way, that I'm angry that why didn't anybody tell me about this? Because you don't know. Wanda probably didn't go around advertising to the whole world, hey, I take 3-hour nap every afternoon. I'm losing all this time. Nobody would know that about her, and you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life and what Juice Plus could possibly do for them. So, and I want to close this just with two things. Melanie had brought up last week that she is a nurse, a registered nurse, and she said, even as a nurse, nobody taught her any of these things. And that since she's been part of this community, she feels like she's privy to so much education that is now changing her trajectory of her health, along with the Juice Plus and, in everybody else's lives that she's touching. And I hadn't thought about that. And many of you brought up the personal growth. And I think how many people I know, my husband, once he started seeing that, he's like, oh my gosh, I go to these corporate things, but they're never talking about how to grow me and what's my vision for life and how do I attain goals outside of work kind of thing. So I love that. And the last thing is, I'm in this inner circle with Matt Morris. So I'm with people from all different companies. I haven't been with a lot of companies before, but I'm always was like, what the heck? Why are there so many companies with their income disclosures out there that will say that, 66% of their people earn $0? Like, that doesn't make sense. How can that be? And it became more evident to me as these people were teaching each other. I sat back and I couldn't even be part of the discussion because I didn't understand what they're talking about. But there's this whole thing, and these were 4 different companies, and they all talked about building a power leg. And the power leg, they were saying, well, how do we train people that they come in and the first 3 people that they get to join the business, they're not going to make any money. We're going to put all those people under this power leg. And if they stay in the business long enough and they spend, at least $140 a month, then they can make a little commission. But if we can get them to spend $280 a month, then, how can we build them up so that they want to spend $280 every month so that they get this upper commission? And how can we explain to them that they're going to be bringing all these people in, but they're not going to get paid, but eventually they're going to get paid? And I thought, guys, we bring people, and they all have these kits. Hey, I saw, they got to come in and they got to sell a $500 kit, or they have to sell a $700 kit. And I thought, we don't have to sell a kit. We have people buy product that they're going to use themselves and for their family. We don't take all their people and put them in this power leg. And if they work, they eventually get some pay on them. Those are their people, and they make commissions on those people, and they make sales profit on those people. Also, none of them have a corporate business package for people who want to work up and have benefits. And it also sounds like their pay goes up and down, up. And how many people did we hear today say, I've been in this business, and whether you're making a few $100s a month or several thousands of dollars a month, it's pretty darn consistent. As long as you work hard, you might get to a level, sometimes life happens, you take care of what you've got, and then you plow through again and work forward. But the more I work with these other people from other companies, and I hear how they're processing and working through those things, and I'm thinking, wow, we signed somebody up and they go on the trio, and maybe they put their spouse on the trio, and they put their mom on the trio. And those are the people. And they make $100 title reward and $90 of sales profit back. And then all their future orders, they're going to make even 50% more than that. We don't take people's people. We don't tell them to join and bring people to the table and not pay them. This is a very amazing company. So I want you to just be so proud of what you are part of, the community, the people's hearts, the stories that you heard today of all these different wonderful women and how we've come together from all these different states and countries and places. I am so proud of you all. And I mean, I truly love you. And I hope you feel that from me, that I don't care where you are in the business or how much you're producing. If you're not feeling loved and valued by me, I would want to know. I seriously want to know. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. I would want to know that you feel like you can come to me. You can shoot me a text. You can ask questions. You can speak at a team meeting. You are seen here and you're valued. So I just want you to know you're part of something so big. And I just think we have the best, most awesome, tight team. And only one thing got left out today, because Joanne said, the first time she met Sheila, she slept with her. And I just want you all to know that the first time I met Jake in person, I slept with her. That's how it all starts. You just have to sleep around. You just have to sleep around. That is my message today that I want you to take with you on Valentine's Day. I'm going to sleep around.
Yes.
I've slept with many women I'd never even met before. And I'm still friends with them. And I haven't seen them for a decade, but I slept with them.
I love it. I hope you guys get my humor. It's really late, but this is the funniest story. I think I'll just have to share it because I shared it at the, I don't know, Ruth, should I share it? Is it offensive? So I'm with my granddaughter last week, and we're reading, we're talking about literature. She's really into books, and we're talking of things. So there's this book that I had not read to her in a very long time, and it was at my house, and she's moved, so I haven't read it to her. But it's this old poem that was illustrated beautifully then by Jan Brett, and it's called The Owl and the Pussycat. And during this book, the story, the owl cries out to the pussycat, oh, pussy, my love, what a wonderful pussy you are, kind of thing. And so we're talking about different books and everything. Again, with this, she's 3 years old. We haven't read this in a long time. And I'm sitting on the floor with her and she grabs my hands like this and she leans back and she's like, oh, Grammy, I love you. I love you, Grammy. You're a pussy. You're a pussy. Grammy, you're a pussy. But I knew what she was doing. You know, I knew that she was thinking of this book, and it was just so funny. And I can't remember exactly the words. What a pussy you are! You are a pussy! You are a pussy! And I just started laughing. So I told my daughter, I said, you know, if she goes to school and calls her teachers that, they probably haven't heard of that book. They're going to have a fit. But there you go. There's some Valentine humor for you. So, all right. Well, thanks for hanging in there, and be looking out for the conference information. Be looking out for information this week. And you can turn off recording if you want, Jake.